Welcome back to the Bullpen Mafia. I'm Javi. We are missing Toad today. I'm recording from home, kind of all over the place, man. Toad's in Vegas. Petey coming in from the Northeast, man. We're recording on September 19th. It's Thursday night. The Pats are down 14 zip, Petey.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Well, you asked me before the show, like, how I felt about tonight, and I said it to you. I've said it on this podcast multiple times. Like, the least exciting team in football. Like, only watching because obviously I love the game and it's the hometown team. But, until Drake May or, fucking Joe Milton, dude, I don't care. Like, give me something to spice it up a little bit. They'll go to 1-2 after tonight, barring some sort of miracle. It looks like Ramondre Stevenson may have even be hurt right now. So, like, I mean, Javi, whatever. It is what it is, man. I love the game enough, and with DraftKings and with gambling nowadays, you can be a fan of anybody. So, I'm gonna keep on buying Brady, Justin Jefferson jerseys, and Garrett Wilson. I don't give a shit. Like, whoever it is now. Like, you like the guys that are about the pomp and pageantry. So am I. Let's go.
And you can't not watch, right? And like, we haven't recorded in 2 weeks, but last Thursday night, man, the Finns tough loss to Buffalo. Brutal on the scoreboard, brutal in terms of what the season. I mean, people are already talking about down here, like, season's over, man. Tua obviously suffered another concussion. I haven't seen anybody suffer more graphic concussions than Tua Tagovailoa, dude. Like, when he goes down in a heap, and it's ugly. It's tough to watch, man. So we're going through a transition phase, man. It seems like the Patriots are definitely going through one, bro. Tough times for the boys. But I am wearing my Won't Back Down 4117 Canes shirt. Shout out to D Money and Canes Insight. We use the Canes Insight studios, so have to support our guys. Canes are 3-0. Toad is not around because it'd be a tough segment for Toad to be talking about this.
Thank God he's not here.
The Knowles.
God.
I don't know what Bill O'Brien did to the Knowles, bro. 0-3, lost a tough one to Memphis on Saturday. I don't know, man. I think this is a perfect trip for Toad to be in Vegas. Perfect opportunity for him. Get away, get his mind off of things. Toad did handle some business for us. We put in our World Series picks, Petey. Toad got 3 tickets.
I think I put in like 3, but yeah, I think he picked one of mine. Toad's like Mattress Mac down there, Javi. Except like he's putting down $10 and Mattress Mac putting down $10 mil.
We needed some hedges, dude. The Mattress Mac hedge, where obviously one of the most renowned gamblers in the world, but the Mafia did pick our World Series champs. Toad has some physical tickets for us. That just means that if one of them hits, we got to go back to Vegas and cash it.
Yep, which is fine.
Which is fine. We're not averse to that. Nope. Toad is following his heart, his newest love, the Mets. I went with the Brewers, AL Central champ Brewers. And Petey, go ahead and reveal your pick, one of the 3 that you made.
Yeah, so, at first I went Dodgers. You guys were pissed off because it's like, hey, like, wow, what way to go out on a limb, I think is how Toad said it. Thought about it a little bit more, and you guys are right. Like, if we're talking, like, Javi, the reason why we're talking about it, right, is just based off of the fact that Toad's in Vegas, right? So, like, I should be thinking odds, not like, oh, I think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. No. Like, give me like I changed it again today. So I went. Long story short, I went Orioles. Toad put me down. I got the Orioles slip. And then I'm sitting there today, and Toad sent the futures bets, and I'm looking at it, and I see the Houston Astros. I think they were like plus 900, and I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, been there, done that, and we have a lot of good Mafia.
We do. That's right.
Like, brethren, like we got some boys over there, man. We got some guys that have really bought into the pod in that clubhouse. So, again, I went with my slip says Orioles. I get it. I could be a front runner when I say the Dodgers, but hey, when it comes to this podcast and growing this thing, I mean, the Houston Astros have helped us out a little bit. So that's where I lie tonight. I'm an Astros guy tonight.
So the ticket says Orioles, but the heart says Astros. That's what. And the brain says Dodgers. So
right, remember, I'm betting with my head, not my heart here. Okay, so.
Oh man, our last little banter topic, Petey. I'm going up to Tampa this weekend.
Yes,
playing the USF Bulls. Big one for the Canes. People are talking about this one like it's the toughest test of the season.
Big trip too, right? Like, you got a good crowd going.
Good crew going.
Yeah.
Talk about the Tampa area. We've definitely spent sometimes in Tampa. We had Danny Boy Kane on our last episode, talk about his party at McDinton's. McDinton's, one of the premier locations in Tampa. That's some souls, dude.
Hey, they might have a Manatees jersey up on the wall, Javi. When you get there,
they raise the banner.
Imagine, dude. Like, you might have a ceremony in there when they see you come in. That would be awesome.
Oh man. We'll be out in Tampa. We'll definitely get some content. Like I mentioned, Toad is out in Vegas. Toad, I believe he took some pictures, some videos of the tickets. Man, this is the Mafia's first foray into sports gambling. So we'll stay close, see how those tickets turn out in the next couple of weeks.
Javi, real quick. Let's just we're on the Tampa topic. Let's just roll with it a little bit. I played in the Florida State League for 3 years. What were you? You got a year and a half?
Yeah, year and change. Yep.
So like you know how it is. Like you're not always going to like the greatest places in the world. Like Midwest League, right? There's not a lot of places to go out. I mean, there's some great small town bars and stuff like that, but like I don't know what it was, Javi, but when the boys were in Tampa, everyone had the green light, like just funny stories, like shit to think. Like I always think about like back in the day, you remember the games, you remember some of that stuff. But like, dude, I remember when we would go to Tampa, we'd go to these other places. Like we'd show up in the weight room for a workout in the mornings, and some of the dudes are rolling in, hopping on the bus, and just throwing a changing into the gym clothes are still out from the night before. You know what I mean? Like just incredible stuff what Tampa used to do to some of the boys. What an awesome place. I'm a little jealous you get to go back there, but I'm sure you will. I'm sure you'll bring back some memories that we can share on the pod next week.
Dude, so the reason why, and you got to talk about the minor leagues, right? Petey alluded to, there's some smaller towns.
Yeah.
Tampa is a big college town. Yeah. Bigger city in Florida. There's also 3 teams in the Florida State League that play within like a 3-mile radius of Tampa. So you're always there. You are always in Tampa. Clearwater, Dunedin, Bradenton's pretty close. The Tampa Yankees. So there's really like 4 teams in that area. And dude, if you want to get after it, that is a place to get after it. Like you talk about the green light. Like how many show and goes did we have when we played? Everybody knew the deal. It was kind of one of those things like it was understood.
Yeah, you were getting to the field later, right? Hey, guys,
you're walking in with a Coke.
Guys weren't arriving on the team bus. There were some guys that got to the field, 2 hours before the bus came, but that was, that was not because they wanted to get there early to get some work in. That was like, hey, I don't even think I got time to get back to the hotel here to change. I'm probably just gonna roll this one straight into tonight's game.
Many a good man have seen better days in Tampa.
Yeah.
But Petey, we have some great baseball topics, man. Obviously, we're going to talk about this later in the rundown, but it happened just a couple hours ago. It happened here in South Florida. Of course, today we did not go to the game.
You weren't there. Yep.
We were not there for Shohei Ohtani going 50-50. Not only did he get 50-50, he hit 3 home runs, went 6 for 6, had 10 RBIs, stole 2 bases. Like, the gentleman went absolutely nuclear today. First of all, probably the biggest crowd of the season at Marlins Park.
Was it packed?
It was packed. It was one of those things where, like, look, I always say it, Miami's an event town. The Marlins are terrible. Everybody knows it. They're 40 games under 500. We actually had a friend of ours today in a group chat said that he had picked the Marlins to finish last in MLB, and he had that ticket at 75-1. And there is a team that is 20 games worse than them in the Chicago White Sox, right? So the Marlins are not having a good year by any stretch of the imagination, but Shohei Ohtani shows up in town. He hits 3 home runs. He hit 4 on the week, right? So he came in at 47, I think it was. So he's at 51 now. Absolutely unbelievable. He was a triple away from the cycle, and he got thrown out at third trying to stretch a double into a triple. So, I mean, obviously no one's ever seen 50-50. I mean, but this guy is just absolutely unbelievable, PD.
I mean, I was laughing thinking about it earlier when you were texting the group. Like, I think you texted as these home runs were happening. And at first I didn't know what the hell you were talking about. Right. And then I'm like I think you said like another one. And then what did you say it landed? Like the Cleveland Clinic or something?
So wait. Yeah. The context of the game. Ohtani is 3 for 3.
Yeah.
It's the 6th inning. He hits number 49 up into the upper deck at Marlins Park. Now, Dave Roberts is kind of faced with a decision. This is the last game of the away trip. They're going back to LA for 6 games. Okay. So everybody in the stadium, the announcers were talking about it. Hey, Dave Roberts is probably going to pull Ohtani. It's a 9-3 game. He's going to pull him out here so he can hit 50 at home. Game doesn't really allow for it. Next inning, Ohtani comes up again. So he's hit number 49. He comes up again. The runner's on first and second and hits a hanging slider out to left field. So he goes oppo. And the Marlins in left field next to their bullpen, they used to have a club. It's called the Cleveland. There was a club. It used to be a club. No, it's more like a party area now, but it had a full-blown pool. It had dancers. I believe there was some poles in there. So all sorts of stuff was going on. But, dude, he hit it into what was the old Clevelander, which is just funny. Like, if you're from South Florida, you know what the Clevelander is. Ohtani hitting his 50th home run here. Just one of those things that, like, dude, you can't put a finger on it. You can't really understand. Like, I know you got Brady, a little, your son watching baseball now. So it had to be cool to talk to him and explain to him this has never been done before.
Not only has it never been done, Javi, but, like, again, I just think, he does this now, right? And obviously he's not throwing this year. I think there was even talk of him possibly, like, coming back and throwing. Is it this year that they're talking about?
Yeah, postseason.
So, like,
in short spurts.
Like, you just think about, like, how incredible of a season he's had. 2, like, a story that this could be if they do go on and win it, and this guy ends up throwing innings in the playoffs too. But, we don't get to watch a ton of him, obviously, being here on the East Coast. But anytime that the Dodgers are playing on MLB Network, which seems to be a lot, they get the primetime games a lot on there. But, I don't know if people understand, like, how incredible it really is or how difficult it is to do what he's doing. Between the 50 bombs, the 50 bags, and the fact that, like, this is a once in a lifetime player, man. I think he's, like, at this point, you got to think that if he continues on this path, regardless of whether or not, like, he comes back and he's as good of a pitcher as he was before, which I have no doubts he's going to be, but, like, the conversation of the GOAT, Javi, is going to have to start happening here soon, man. Like, we could be watching the greatest player to ever play the game, and we get to see him do it on both sides of the ball too, which is really cool. And I say both sides of the ball because, remember, he was your starting quarterback if you had to pick a guy to.
That pick is trending up. That pick
really
is trending up. It really. I mean, look, I got to give the guys flowers because not only, D-Money, like I mentioned, we film out of the Canes Insight Studio. He's a really good friend of mine. He's been the biggest Ohtani stan. He was on Ohtani when he first came out. He's like, this guy has the potential to be the greatest player of all time. And we all kind of laughed at him because no one really knew what Ohtani was. This whole, pitching and hitting thing hadn't been done to the level he's done it at least with, our eyes. We hadn't seen it. But the fact that he can do it and the fact that he does it both so well is so cool to see, man. And I'm already ready to put him in the GOAT conversation for baseball players. Granted, that might be premature, but just what he's doing on a daily basis, man. He's so athletic. He's so fun to watch. And, like, people don't realize you're stealing 50 bags. He's not a speedster. Like, usually you're either a speedster or you're a home run hitter.
Yeah,
he's doing
huge.
Both. He's hitting for average, hits for power, he's pitching. So I saw on Twitter that the gentleman who caught the home run ball had been addressed. He had been found. He was going to have a negotiation with Ohtani. I just thought, like, dude, if we were there, if Toad and I were there and we caught that ball,
oh my God, dude,
we wouldn't ask for anything.
Nope.
Ohtani's got to come on the Mafia.
That's it. That's really
all we want. All we want. Come on the Mafia. And
the
offer's still out there. So Shohei, if you're listening, come on the Mafia.
But. Imagine you get him tonight. We got him tonight too, Javi. We had to tell, and just, I know you haven't introduced him yet, but we got Brooks Hall coming on here later. An absolute, I was going to call him a Manatees legend, but just like a Brewers minor league legend, good teammate of ours. But we would have had to push him aside tonight. But yeah, you said, he, Ohtani, I think, Javi, you brought it up a second ago, and I was thinking about that too. Is like, when you hear about these players that, regardless of where you're coming from, right? Like, but I feel like we hear it mostly with the Japanese players of, these guys are playing out there and they're getting paid hundreds of $1 million to come here and play. And you never know how the game's going to translate when you come over here. And not only that, but, like, a lot of times these guys are going to big markets, right? It's not what they're used to. Like, playing in Boston, playing in New York, playing in LA, like, these are hard places to play. And if you don't play up to the contract that you're given, you're going to get shit on. It's going to be like, it's going to be ridiculously hard to do your job. Because again, the mental side of the game, which we all know how big it is, that stuff takes a toll on you. So, I mean, that guy came over here. Think about the shit he dealt with at the beginning of the year, dude, with Ipe. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that's how his season started. I'm on here. I think I'm on record saying that what happened to them is going to affect the season. Like, it's going to be hard for these guys to play. I think I said something about like Mookie.
Cold take.
Literally, dude. I think I said something like Mookie. Who got what? Mookie Betts. Remember when they named him the starting shortstop? I think, right? Shortstop. Who got hurt? I'm trying to think back now.
Lux, I think Lux moved to second, maybe. I don't know how.
Yeah, because Lux was making a ton of errors or whatever. Yeah. So remember there was all that shit was going on, and I was just shitting on them, and I think that was just back when we were just trying to get some hot takes going here to get this thing rolling. But but for him to come over here and to do what he's doing, he seems like an unbelievable dude. Obviously we'd love to have him on the pod to learn a little bit more about him, but yeah, I mean, kudos to him, man. It's going to be so fun to watch him the rest of the way. I pray he comes out and he pitches. I mean, what if he closes, dude? Like, what if he's doing something crazy and all of a sudden, like, the World Series comes down to him at the end of the game with the ball, and then he comes up in the ninth and for a while. I mean, I can see this all. The way the season's playing out for him is a movie anyways. I could see a Hollywood ending coming here.
100%. We definitely, I think from a baseball podcast perspective, man, you got so much respect for Ohtani. You got so much respect for what he does, and I think he just transcends sports, man. There's no other way to put it. He is a larger than life figure, and to be doing it at the level that he does is just so cool to watch.
It's awesome.
So we got through the Ohtani stuff, man. There is, PD, some unbelievable races going on right now, man.
Yep.
We had some magic number watch. Everyone's talking about the magic numbers to clinch. We have 3 teams that have already solidified their postseason berths. We got the Brewers winning the NL Central. We got the Yankees who clinched a playoff berth. Yep. Look like they're well on their way to winning the AL East. And then we got the Guardians who clinched a playoff berth today with their win over the Twins. Now they're in the same position as the Yankees. They look like they're about to wrap up the AL Central. We're going to start with the Brewers. Dude, how consistent are the Brewers, man? It's unbelievable how they keep doing it year in and year out. And it seems like they always talk about they lost star power. Corbin Burns traded to the Orioles. Brandon Woodruff, unfortunately, out for the season. Christian Yelich out for the season. Ho-hum, the Brewers win the NL Central again. They're doing it with all sorts of guys. They piece it together. The starting rotation, not the big names we're used to seeing, but that bullpen is as lights out as it's ever been, man, with Devin Williams on the back end. PD, it's just so crazy to see a team that does it with what seems like so little, and every single year they're at the same spot, sitting at the playoff table, ready to make a run.
Javi, not only so little, but like so many new faces too. Yeah. Right? Like we've talked about it the last couple of years, because even when a lot of the guys we played with were up there, they had guys coming up from AAA or they're making moves, and these guys are coming in there, and it's like a puzzle piece, dude. Like they're finding ways to put it together. Now, a lot of new faces, right? You got Devin Williams, who's a leader for these guys now on the back end of the bullpen, like you said. Like, Javi, I don't know, like Stearns isn't there anymore either, right? So like, there's got to be something in the mix. I might attribute it to maybe you and I just being true leaders in that clubhouse, and just promoting a culture, a winning culture around there, and just those vibes are just taking off now, and these guys are getting up to the big leagues. But obviously what they're doing with their minor league system, the way that they are developing guys, again, like you said, Javi, they're not going out. Like Milwaukee's not going to be a team that's going to go out and spend hundreds of $1 millions to bring in these guys, and they don't need to. They've literally proven that they don't have to do it. But it's obvious to me that there's something going on inside that farm system with the way that they're developing guys, the way that they're finding these pieces to make this puzzle fit. Yelich out for the year, right? Like guys like that, and I feel like I saw him interviewed last night after the game. Like he's still talking as if he's a part of that team, right? He's not really taking himself out of it. And hey, like these guys are doing great. Like I wish them the best of luck. Like he's talking last night, like he's about to help out in this playoff run. So they obviously have a really good, clubhouse. I'd love to get Woody on here at some point, just to talk about sort of what goes on in that clubhouse and what those guys are really like. Cause they seem like a tight knit group. they seem like a lot of guys that sort of just play for each other, and some of those guys have played together for a long time, man. They come up through the system, and Javi, as you know, that means a lot, man. Like, these teams that these big market teams that go out and spend the money, right, to bring these guys in at the deadline, or they bring these guys in and, hey, we're going to make a run with this guy, and he's not a fit in the clubhouse. You always hear about it after, right? Like, it's always like, so-and-so didn't mesh here and was pissing a lot of people off. And obviously you're stepping on toes, and a lot of times you're playing over somebody else, somebody maybe that's been there for a long time that wasn't necessarily producing, or they think that this guy's going to play better. So when you have that type of camaraderie in the clubhouse with I feel like is what they have, they're going to be fun to watch, man. I think they're a fun team to root for too, because obviously, we love them because they hold a special place in our heart, but I think that could be America's team here in the playoffs if you want a good down home country story.
Just the glue guys, bro. Root for the glue guys, the underdogs, man. And I think you hit on something with the Yelich interview. I was watching Freddie Peralta today. He was on with the MLB Tonight guys, and it was Pedro Martinez, Harold Reynolds, and Amsinger. And Freddie's an awesome dude. I know Freddie well from my time with the Brewers. Just plays with a ton of joy. One of the best, nicest guys you'll ever meet. And Freddie mentioned that he's become the ace of the staff. And it was, one of those things where, again, Corbin got traded. Woody's out for an extended period of time with an injury. And Freddie's had to, take on this role. And he's like, look, I'm the ace right now, but, one of the most important things, and this is all, English is not his first language. So that's another thing. I'm so proud of Freddie. He does these interviews. He's great. But he said, like, one of the most important things for this team is that Brandon Woodruff is around every single day.
Every day, man.
He's with the team. He feels like an ace. He's talking to us. He's talking to the young guys. So, like, look, man, for a team that went through so much over the offseason, you're talking about GM leaving, goes to the New York Mets. Craig Counsell takes the job with the Chicago Cubs. They got a new GM. They got a new manager in Pat Murphy. They lost their two starting pitchers, two aces, in Woodruff and Burns, and here they are winning the NL Central. It's so cool to see.
I think Pat Murphy, dude, is a really good fit for that team too. Yeah. Obviously, he was on Counsell's staff, so it's not like they're bringing him out of nowhere. But I just, I remember like first hearing about him when he was at Arizona State back in the day, dude. And like, if you look at him, man, that looks like one tough motherfucker too. Like, I feel like he's the type of guy, like he's got the dog in him. Guys want to play for him. He's going to fight in tooth and nail, man, for you guys. And I feel like when a team like that, right, like the Brewers, that's a scrappy team already. When they get somebody like that at the helm, man, that's look out for these guys in the playoffs.
My pick to win it all. So don't make me look bad.
Don't disappoint.
Toad's gonna miss this conversation, man. The Yankees, I mentioned they're on their way to clinch the AL East. Tough conversation for you, Petey. But Toad's been a Jazz guy, man. Toad got the jersey, and Fanatics dropping the ball. They still haven't sent it to Toad. Toad hasn't received that yet.
Is that true?
It's true, bro.
Dude, that's like 2 months ago.
2 months. And Toad's got a bone to pick with Fanatics. I'm gonna save that rant for Toad. Toad's got a lot of stuff to get off his chest. But Jazz in the locker room, man, the guys look like they're having a good time. It looks like a team that the weight has been lifted off their shoulders. This is a club that didn't look all that great going into the trade deadline. Made a couple of moves. They finally moved Clay Holmes out of that closer role. You're seeing a bullpen by committee with Tommy Kahnle, Luke Weaver, bunch of different guys stepping in. The team looks a lot better. They look like they have finally found their rhythm. Completely juxtapose that from the second team in the AL East, the Baltimore Orioles, who look like they are going through absolute hell right now, Petey. They cannot figure out what is next for them. They just DFA'd future Hall of Famer Craig Kimbrell, who had the worst second half, I think, of any relief pitcher in Major League Baseball.
What do you have, 11 plus, right? In the second
11
half?
plus. I saw a stat. I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to say it exactly. I'm going to paraphrase it. But 10% of the runs he has given up in his career came from the second half of the season. 10%. This is a guy who's been in the big leagues for like 14, 15 years. So Orioles going the wrong direction. Yankees trending up. Petey, we talked about it so often on this podcast. If you're going to go for it, if you have the team to go for it, how do you not address your relief pitcher issues at the trade deadline?
Well, that's what I was going to say to you is like the common theme between both these teams in the AL East is the bullpen. So the way I see it in that situation is like as good as Baltimore is, they're young and they're very inexperienced. And to not have, Kimbrell obviously is a leader at the beginning of the year, at the halfway point, is a guy who's been there, done that. right? And that's like, to me, like if Kimbrel's throwing the ball well, the Orioles might get the upper hand there, because now you have a guy at the back end, even with these younger guys and the inexperience, that like, hey, this guy's like, we know, hey, let's get to like, we get to the ninth of the lead, man. We feel like we're in a pretty good spot. Now, the Yankees, like, I mean, they're going to score runs, dude. Like, there's no doubt about it. They're going to score runs. They also, like, not that they have guys that have necessarily, been there, done that. They've played postseason baseball. Like, they've been around a little bit. But, I almost feel like with the Yankees, it's like, we talked about it last time, right? Like, and I know, Javi, you're a big Luke Weaver guy, and you think that that's kind of changed the tone of where they've gone as a team. But
he's a Noli. He's a Florida State Noli. So shout out to Tony.
Yeah,
he's a Noli.
So, like I was on, and again, I was on record here last time talking about how like you can't take Holmes out of that spot because you've made it this far into the year. You're kind of living and dying with him. So the fact that he's out of there, again, like it scares me. Any team, I don't care who you are, Javi, this, not because we've never pitched in the playoffs in the big leagues, but like how hard it is to go, especially when you're on the road or just in the playoffs in general, like to go out there in those late innings, and maintain leads. And if you don't have confidence in your bullpen, and these guys don't have confidence in themselves, I mean, it could get ugly fast, and it could be a quick 2-Q for for these guys that have these bullpen issues. But again, if you're saying between the two teams, both of them are struggling with that, who comes out on top? I still think the Yankees score more runs. I think there's more experience there. There's guys on that roster that have been there. You're still dealing with the Gunnar Hendersons of the world and the Santander's.
Probably a little better starting pitching on the Yankee side too, right? You still got Garrett Cole, you got Carlos Rodon, you got a couple guys. It looks like for right now, the Orioles have had a ton of issues in their bullpen, but they have no health and depth in their starting pitching. Like it's Corbin Burns. You got to get Corbin Burns has got to win you probably 2 games in every series they go from here on out. Like you're relying on that guy big time. So
that's why you pay him, Javi.
That's why you pay him the big bucks, bro. And Corbin's going to be in line for a big payday, man. He's due this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes about that. And we've certainly seen the starting pitcher market dry up. We saw Jordan Montgomery with some choice words about his agent, Scott Boras, basically came out and said that Scott ruined the offseason for him, blames his pitching woes sort of on Scott. And we'll all have opinions on that, but we're not going to get into that right now. The playoff races are too good, man. The National League, Petey, we have 3 teams. Excuse me. Before we go to the National League, we have one more team we got to touch on really briefly. Yeah. The Detroit Tigers are making a run like a bat out of hell, dude. They have come all the way back. They're within, as of today, Thursday, September 19th, they're a half game back of that 3rd playoff spot. Again, Brooks Hall's on the back half of this interview talking about Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
Unbelievable lefty. Again, you have a guy like that waiting in the wings. Who knows what can happen? So really excited to see the Detroit Tigers, man. They're young. They're hungry. They got a bunch of prospects all up at the same time. Talk about the Brewers mold. It seems like the Tigers are that from the American League. Like a bunch of dudes that played together in the minor leagues, all make it up to the big leagues together. They look great. They're playing well. The vibes are high, man. It'd be interesting to see how they play the last couple of weeks here this season.
8 Mile Road is back, Javi. You love it,
dude.
The Lions, the Tigers, the Bears. Oh my.
Pistons though, not back. Lions and Tigers back. Pistons not back.
Best thing that ever happened to the Pistons was the malice at the Palace. No, but Javi, like Skubal is so fun to watch. Skubal is the type of guy, you just mentioned it with Burns. I think for the Tigers, Skubal has to go out there and be just unconscious for the playoffs for those guys to really, really make a run. But yeah, I love the fact that all of these guys everyone's making it interesting, man. The Mariners are close. The Sox are 4 back with the Twins coming into town this weekend, dude. Like you really never know what could happen. I've talked about on the show. I don't have a ton of confidence in the Red Sox. I don't even know if they have a ton of confidence in themselves. I also don't know if they really give a shit. So, it is fun, Javi. It's fun to have teams in these situations. It's fun when a lot of the guys are young too, and a lot of the new faces of the game are showing up and showing out when it matters most. So it's cool.
We have National League. We're going to touch on it very briefly. 3 teams, all within 2.5 games of each other. It seems like really the only team sitting on the outside looking in is the Braves. They're 2 games back, and we have the Padres sitting in that first wild card spot, the Mets in the second wild card, the D-backs in the third. Again, the Braves are sitting on the outside looking in. But again, these next 9 games, who knows, man? Petey, we have a subject that I think we have not touched on. We haven't been on for 2 weeks. This is a minor league story.
We
bro.
love
There's never been
stories.
A minor league story.
Yep.
This is a minor league story.
Yeah.
So Twins catcher Derek Bender gets released from the organization. This is a story.
It's incredible, dude.
This is incredible.
Yep.
They came out, and first of all, for this story to get out is wild. Like, the fact that this made public airwaves is crazy.
Right.
Derek Bender's a catcher for the Twins. He was giving away signs to batters, okay? So batters were coming into the batter's box. Obviously, Derek is relaying what the pitcher is going to throw to said batter.
Yeah.
It got so bad that after the game, the coaching staff of whoever they were up against told the team, Derek's team, they told the Twins, like, hey, your catcher just, basically sold out your entire staff. And the reasoning he gave was that he wanted to get home early. Now, we have been part of some minor league slogs, bro. Those seasons drag.
Yep.
The final weeks of the season, it seems like there's always rain delays. There's a bunch of doubleheaders. Everyone wants to get home. If your team is not in the playoff push, there is no day better than the final day of the minor league season. But, brother, this guy was giving away signs, Petey.
So, Javi, it's funny because, like, the minor leagues, right? It's such an individualized game, right? Like, yes, you're a part of a team. You got 4 levels, right? But every single guy in there is playing for themselves in their career and a shot to get to the big leagues. So it's not like we're talking about World Series contenders in the previous part of this episode. Like, yeah, that's when it really matters, right? Like the minor league, it's awesome. 2012 in Wisconsin, we won the Midwest League Championship, right? Yeah, you're a part of it. You get that far. Yeah, you want to win it. You want to go. Derek Bender is like, dude, fucking, we've been here way too long, man. Like, we got a chance to make the playoffs. I'll make sure we don't make the playoffs. Like, dude, this is like funny shit you would see on like Eastbound and Down or like one of those shows where like in like Javi, it's funny. This just to go back on the point I was saying before, guys, like this may sound crazy to people, Javi, but like we've all played with guys that are like, dude, listen, we better not make the fucking playoffs, man. I'm
not paying rent. I'm not paying another month's rent.
Like, I want to fucking go home. I want to pick my own friends, dude. Like I've sat with you guys in this bullpen for 140 games. I just want to go home. And like, it's never gotten to this point. Like, I've never seen anything like this. But guys don't like, this is not how he feels. It's kind of normal. It's a normal feeling in the minor leagues. Like, you're not competing for a World Series championship. You're not on TV. You're not going to be making millions. Like that's the stuff. This is the stuff that happens on a grind of a season. Now, like you said, Javi, the fact that it got out, the fact that it was being spread around like that is pretty insane. I do have a funny story about this, and it's so different because it was me as a pitcher that was hitting. So, I think it had to be either 2014 or 2015, right? Javi, I don't know.
It was 15. It was in Daytona.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So I forget who was catching, right? But I get an AB. It was my first ever minor league AB. Joey Roth's like, hey, grab a bat. You're going to hit in the 8th, whatever. Last game of the season. Daytona, fucking cool place to play, right? Would never want to actually have my season there. Like, I wouldn't want to play for the Daytona Cubs, but cool place to visit on the road. I enjoyed it. So I'm in the on deck circle. Javi, I don't know if you remember elbow pad.
Everything.
Right?
Swag.
Evo Shield had the leg guard on. BGs, I had brand new ones. I forget who gave them to me. I think I had Rattery's bat or something crazy. Like I was ready to go. So when I got up there, Javi, I'm digging in and I'm saying to the catcher, like, hey man, this is the first time I've hit since legit high school, probably 2005. Please, just feed me heaters, dude. And don't come in. Just take care of me. He's like, all right, I'll give you one. He's like, I'll give you one right here. Don't miss it. So, Javi, I came out of my shoes, dude. I think it was 90, 91. It was a big lefty. I forget who it was. Came in and I fouled it straight back. And in my eyes, man, I just missed it. Right. But there's zero chance. Ends up 2 pitches later. I mean, this guy was like, they were nice enough to stay fast with me the whole entire time because they were both laughing. Like, it was probably like hey, like he puts the finger down. Like, everybody knows what's going on. Our dugout's kind of going wild. Guys are chirping. I ground up, I absolutely shatter the bat. Remember, ground out the first 2 pitches later, something in on the hands. But like that's the stuff. Like, I've seen that kind of stuff happen, but never to the point where, what was the final score of the game, Javi? It was like 9-1 or 10-1, I think, or something like that.
Couldn't tell you,
dude. That's like, I'm laughing so hard, Javi, thinking about like how many times you've been out there on the mound. It's like, these fucking guys know what's coming. Jesus Christ, when you're just getting whacked around the yard. These guys actually did. As crazy as that sounds.
And I was, as a pitcher, I was pissed about it just because, like, you know how it is, man. You trust your catcher so much. Like, you're put in a position where, like, especially me, like, when I was out there, I was like, I want to think as little as possible. I remember we had so many good catchers coming up in the organization. We're like, yo, I trust you completely. Whatever you put down, if that's what you think the best pitch is, I think that's the best pitch. Like, that's the kind of camaraderie I wanted to have. Like, dude, if you find out that this guy was giving away, and you just talked about individualized game, man. Like, the best advice I ever got in the minor leagues was our pitching coordinator, Rick Tomlin. We're getting our brains beat in by the Tampa Yankees. It's hot as hell. And I had just pitched the day before. I'd gotten roughed up, and he calls me over in the middle of the game, and I sit down next to him, and he goes, "You realize what these games are, right?" And I said, "No, what do you mean?" He goes, "These are all scrimmages." Yeah. He's like, "These games are being played for 3 guys on our side, 3 guys on their side that are going to make it to the big leagues." He goes, "The rest of you guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for putting on the costumes and for showing up on time."
Isn't it crazy, man?
There's a very select few who this really matters for. Yeah. And they kind of put everything in perspective, man. Like, it's a really tough game, but you are out there on an island. You have to perform. Yeah. Your numbers matter. It's my baseball card. It is my career. But, dude, the end of a minor league season will make you do some crazy freaking things, Petey. I was in Wisconsin, 2014, Midwest League. We had clinched the playoffs. We're playing the Beloit Snappers. They were nowhere near the playoffs. Thankfully, I had pitched the night before, but this is the final game of the year. Beloit's not going anywhere. These guys were telling us before the game, like, hey, we're going to swing at every first pitch.
Yes.
We want the game to be over as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The only downside was, if you're the starting pitcher against those guys, dude, these guys are aggressive as hell. It was a nightmare. I remember the guy who started for the Timber Rattlers. Dude, I don't think he made it out of the first inning. And they didn't want to hit. The Snappers wanted no business scoring runs. Like, they wanted this game over as quickly as possible.
Just ambushing, dude.
Derek Bender, probably not a good guy, but understand where he came from.
Yeah. Tommy, it's funny you bring up Rick Tomlin too, dude. What a beauty that guy was, man. Like, he was, like you said, but he was blunt and upfront like that, right? Like, he didn't beat around the bush, man. Like, you know, and Javi, to be honest, like, I always felt like you were a guy, like, you know, you're on the fast track there for a little bit, man. You're climbing the ladder. You have nasty shit. And, like, you're probably one of those guys that were out there playing, hey, we got to get Javi some innings here, man. Like, he's tracking in a good direction. Dude, one time, I'll never forget this, Dunedin. I forget what happened. Like, somebody had just gotten called up, dude. Like, mind you, I played three fucking years in high A, right? Like, I was 27, 28 years old, way too fucking old for that league. And I remember asking him, like, hey, he was, you know, because these roving instructors, a lot of times they'd come in, 2-3 times a year, right? To a series or two. He lived down in that area, so he was around a little bit more often. But I remember after BP or some one time, I'm like, hey, can I can you give me 5 minutes in the office? Like, just want to talk to you. So he's like, yeah, come on in, whatever. So he fucking go into the office and he shuts the door. And he's like, what do you got, Petey? And I'm like, hey, what do I got to fucking do, man? Like, what do I have to do to get out of this league? Like, what do I got to do to come up? And he literally looked me right in the eyes, Javi, and he goes, I mean, to be honest with you, you don't fucking really do anything good. You don't do anything great. And he goes, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest with you. Like, you don't do anything exceptionally well. Like, and what he meant by that was, like, you're just like, you know, like, you go out there and you get outs and you do your job, but, like, you don't throw 95. You don't have a nasty breaking ball. And like you don't go out there and, like, wow people, but you do your job. And it's like, and again, like, I know he wasn't being rude, and I get that, right? And, like, again, we're glue guys, Javi. We know a little bit about what it takes sometimes in the locker room. Like, we know we might be fillers at a certain part of our career. It's like, hey, we're hanging around because you're going to mentor some of the younger guys, and they can trust you, and you can get outs when they need you to. But Yeah, like especially and when you've been battling at a certain level for a certain period of time, man, and that season's coming to an end, and you can't fucking wait to get home. I'm not saying do what Derek Bender did, but
there are other ways. There are other ways.
Yes,
oh
for
man,
sure.
But that is, I think that sums up Middle Innings perfectly, man. This was our 8th time doing Middle Innings. This was awesome. Before we're not going anywhere. There is a back half of this episode with Brooks Hall that I urge everyone to listen to, man. Brooks has a really tremendous story. He came up in the Brewers organization with Petey and I, played about 10 years in affiliated baseball, left the game, went to go sell insurance, came back, tore his Achilles, and he at 34 years old is still playing. He played in Mexico this season. He has some great Trevor Bauer stories. He goes into detail about his time in the Dominican Republic. He's a Winter Ball League legend. And now he is an online pitching coach with his buddy Seth. They call the Soul Throwers. They do some really cool stuff. He's got great stories, so stick around for that. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Prime. I told you to get pissed at me because I don't know them all. Follow us on Instagram. Check out our merch. I'm wearing our hat. There's our rope hat. We still got some available, so go ahead and check that out. But stick around for the Brooks Hall episode. It's really worthwhile, man. This is, again, Middle Innings Volume 8. Petey, let's hope the Pats can tighten it up here in the second half, man.
Yeah, thank God it's on Amazon Prime, so I don't have to. Once I shut this little app off or whatever the hell it is, I'll just follow along, and maybe MLB Network's got a good game on or something.
That's it for Pete and I. Stick around for Brooks Hall in the back half of this. We got a very special guest with us here today. The other half of the Soul Throwers, pitching coach extraordinaire, still going. Pete,
Guru.
Still going. 14 years in professional baseball. Brooks Hall. Brooks, thanks for coming on with us, man.
Bro, thanks for having me. Two of my favorite teammates.
Brooks, tell everybody where you're at in the world right now.
Right now I'm in Tulum, Mexico. we finished the championship in Mexico City, and then I didn't want to go back to America, so I said I'll just come down here and see the beach.
Javi, we were talking when we first started this, Brooks is one of the first guys that we brought up bringing on this podcast, because the Instagram, what is it? It's bhall_05. Make sure you check this guy out on Instagram. But the Instagram it's one of the best, if not the best out there. I mean, the stories, right? The stories sometimes can give you 25 to 30 slides. People are asking Brooks these outrageous questions, and nobody's more blunt and upfront about how they feel than fucking Brooks Hall. If you could ask this guy fucking anything, and he's gonna shoot you straight on Instagram. So if you do have a question, he does have a lot of Q&As on there. Make sure you hit him up on there. But yeah, Brooksy, thanks for coming on, buddy. We can't wait to get this rolling.
Appreciate it.
Well, to give some context, Brooks was a 4th round pick of the Brewers, right? Brooks, what year was that now?
2009, dude, a long time ago.
2009. Wow. So you've been chucking pellets for a long time, dude. The arm is still going. But you said off air before we started, you're better now than when you pitched when you were with us. This is almost 10 years ago now.
So in high school, I was probably as good as I am now, because I was just a shortstop, and they would put me on the mound and I would throw 95, never thinking about it. And then I got to pro ball, and the first thing, they give you all this money, and they're like, hey, we want you to throw like Roy Halladay. That was like the second day. And I'm like, Roy Halladay? I don't even know who that is. I never watched baseball, really. And, Doc, you remember our pitching coach, Steve Devine, he's like, you're going to be Roy Halladay. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to hunch over. And that started my path of being the most unathletic player, and that's not who I was. And then now I'm 34, and I feel better than I've ever felt.
Hey, that's what you say a lot of. I see on Instagram. It's always whenever somebody's asking you questions about either their body or hey, how do I get more explosive, or how do I throw harder? The number one thing you always go to is just be athletic.
Yeah, you have to get back to being it's like I tell a kid, I'm like, all right, you're 25. I said, how long does it take you to get ready for your bullpen? And they'll be like, 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's a joke.
I said, 45 minutes. I said, what are you doing? I said, we need to train how we're like when we're 12. I was like, when you're 12 years old, can you just jump out of bed and throw the ball as hard as you can first pitch? He's like, of course. I said, well, you need to train to be able to do that at 26 years old, or you're not going to last for 7 months in the big leagues if you got an opportunity. You're not going to break down. I was like, you're not going to be able to play. I said, these Latin guys that I've seen that perform the best, they could drink all night, they could never sleep, and they can go out there and throw the ball 98 miles an hour because they're still kids.
Yeah.
They haven't like worked themselves in the gym to just be gym rats and bodybuilders. They can still move.
So
that's something that we didn't do that good of, you know.
Yeah,
that's true.
We got the wrong information. It's fine.
Yeah.
When did you come to that realization though? Because I feel like, dude, that's like an enlightened state you're in, man. If you feel like at 30, I'm 32.
Talking to my guy right here. That's on his computer working.
I love it.
Seth Blair. I mean, he I don't know. He trained at this place that was private in Arizona, and he taught me how they trained. And I was like, wow, that's what I did in high school, pretty much. Like, all I did in high school was sprint.
Brooks, you good? Javi, can you hear him?
I think he went out.
Brooks, you there?
You can hear me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, guys.
I said all I did in high school was sprint, jump. I never lifted weights. Like all I did, I was fast. I could run a 6.6 60, and then I got the pro ball, and I probably couldn't run a 7.5 after a year. I never ran. But like me and feeling that speed of getting my foot down fast, like I'm running, that's what would accelerate my hand, and that's what made me good. I wasn't like Jacob deGrom, where he was just long. Yeah. How long can I create that stretch and then whack? I was more like get my foot down and be quick with your hand, kind of like a shortstop. Ellie De La Cruz. If he got on the mound and he just picked his leg up and put it down, he'd throw 98.
Is that what you're doing now?
Kinda.
See, it's funny you say that though, because like I still work with a lot of young guys, and I'm always watching your videos and everything online, and I couldn't agree more with just being an athlete and being athletic, and I always tell these guys like, hey, if you want to throw hard, and I think you've said this before too, like if you want to throw hard, you gotta move fast. Like you have everything you have to do has to be quick and athletic. It's not like you said, it's not deliberate. It's not long. And I think that the game's gotten to a place where, like you said, where guys are trying to emulate something, or they're watching the way a guy like his legs swing, different things like that, and they're not letting their own athleticism take over.
For sure. I mean, you're gonna learn from watching people, but it's like I had a kid today, and I told him, I said, your homework today training is you're going to go home and you're going to find 5 people that play in the big leagues, and you're going to throw a bullpen. You're going to throw 5 bullpens this week, and you're going to be a different guy every time. You're going to be, I don't know, Brandon Woodruff, one of our friends. It's unbelievable. And then I said, then tomorrow you're going to be Freddie Peralta, and then you're going to be Josh Hader, and then you're going to be Roger Clemens, and then Nolan Ryan. Can you copy their dance move? I said, if you can't copy their dance move, then how are you going to create your own? I said, if you want to learn to dance, you got to learn from somebody. Yeah. So like you're going to feel what they do, and if you can copy that, you'll get better. Like when I was a kid, I wanted like Gary Sheffield. So I would practice. And then like, try to imitate. I'm not going to do it in the game, but like it made me not think about the swing or whatever I'm doing. It's like, oh, he moved his hands like this. Oh, okay, that feels good.
Right.
And you just move efficiently. Now it's like, I call these kids, they're like dome stars, bro. They're locked in here like bad. It's kind of sad, some of these kids. I'm like, wow, you're thinking about all that? That's sad, Like it makes me feel bad for them.
Hey, question for you: do you love TrackMan and Rapsodo and all that stuff?
I think, yeah. I mean, no, but yeah.
No, because but I know that you don't, and again, I think this goes back to exactly what we're talking about before, where like in today's game, especially with the young players, like nobody's teaching people how to pitch anymore, and nobody's pitching. Right? You're throwing to a number, you're throwing to a spin rate, you're throwing to something that, is literally, it can be put on a piece of paper, it can be sent in a file over to somebody who's making a decision, right? Like
I'll say this though, like playing with Bauer, like he uses TrackMan to his advantage. He knows how to carry the ball. So when he wants to carry it, he just tilts more to get his hand 12 o'clock. When he throws normal, he's not 12 o'clock. So like he knows like, okay, 0-2, if I want to go up in the zone, I know I'm going to carry it 24 inches. So I'm going to get on it at 90, 98, and you're not hitting that because like he knows but he's at an elite level. So like TrackMan can help you. But if you're in college and you can't command the ball, it's like, well, your 20-inch slider is hard. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like you should throw something that you can throw down and away every time. Boop, boop.
Yep.
Like if it moves this much, but TrackMan says it sucks, let the hitter decide when you get ahead of him with it, like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's true. I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
I mean, yeah, you had the slow curveball, so.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. now the whole world knows,
He had 90 up and then
yeah. Thank you. 90. That shit doesn't even play anymore though. I think my curveball at Brooks it was like 65 to 68. That fucking thing, you could see the revolutions on that thing.
Full arm speed though.
Yeah, full arm speed, bro. Everything I had. Hey, legs swinging over. Looked like Pedro Martinez, bro, coming out at 65. Here's a big breaker.
Brooks, what was Bauer on your team in Mexico?
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously you guys are having these in-depth conversations. Dude, how many times did you just find yourself in the dugout? I mean, I want to be a fly on the wall with Brooks and Trevor Bauer, bro.
Dude, imagine that. Holy shit.
Game I'm in the dugout, I'm talking to him. But there's stuff I'm saying like his video guys back there, and I'm like, please don't put that online.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, what were the conversations like though? Like, does he enjoy talking the game and pitching as much as you do?
That's all he's talking about. That's all he's thinking about. He's like, oh, what are we throwing this guy here? Can't throw that. You just saw his front shoulder on that swing. He's done. Curveball down. He's done. It's like he just sees instantly like, oh, this is what you have to throw next. If you throw this and execute, he's out. Like his brain just knows like he might throw 2 wrong pitches the whole game and he'll be like, oh, shit, that was bad. Shouldn't have thrown that. And he gets away with it. And then he's like, well, this guy's done now. I'm not going to throw the wrong pitch now. So, yeah, that's all he's thinking about. He's the same guy on his vlog as he is in person.
Javi, have you seen the vlog that he has?
It's incredible.
So, like, when he mics himself up on the mound, like exactly what Brooks is talking about. Like, he's literally like the way he's processing it or the way he's talking through the at-bats in the games is insane.
I think that if kids said screw training and screw like really anything about the velo and just learn that more and then work backwards, learn how to use your shitty stuff. And then you can develop velo. And then once you throw 95 and you can think like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing you learn, especially like, dude, being out on the mound, right? Your brain is sometimes going 100 miles an hour. Like you realize when Bauer's out there, he's in such it's almost like he's in a nirvana state, right? He's having like full on conversations with himself. Like he's seen the game in slow motion. So like you start to realize when you get to that level of pitching and Brooks, you know, your career now you've had it at 34. You're saying you're feeling better than you did when you were, you know, in the peak of your career, right? So it's like you're at this stage where you see the game a little bit slower. It starts breaking down for you, and then you can just like live and talk. And like imagine being mic'd up, talking to yourself, knowing it's going to get put out into the universe. And like, dude, it's so cool to see. And I
wanted to do it. I just didn't ask him.
No, but when you're locked in and you know you're locked in, your mind slows down and you understand what you're like.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think Tiger Woods' mind was on the golf course? You think he was panicking, or he was like, oh, I'm landing this one 15 feet behind the pin. It's going to trickle on down to the hole. 3 feet putt. Like he knows exactly what he's going to do and he executes it. And he's like, oh, 3 feet putt, right to left. Okay. Next hole. I don't know.
Could you imagine Brooks mic'd up on the fucking mountain? People's brain would be in a pretzel, dude. They'd be like, they wouldn't know what to think. They'd be like, hey, is he all right? And then you get 3 punchies at it and they're like, hey, but this fucking kid's legit though. Hey, is Bauer still long tossing like that like he used to?
No.
What's he do now? Just regular throwing?
Yeah, he sometimes will like kind of long toss before the start, maybe like 240, not 300, not any farther. He plays catch with his hip open.
Really?
He's just trying to get his hip open and delay the upper body. So he's trying to he wants to fill the hip flexor forward, and he's just going to pop it through and then catch separation and just snap through.
I've seen you do that 17 times this week on your Instagram.
I was about to say, if you can't really see it and appreciate here, but you got to follow B-Hall 05, dude. You get the full.
That's what Seth tells me. Seth's like, hey, you just randomly start throwing at like the bar.
You always have though, dude. You always have.
I know.
You know, like
you know who did it worse than me though?
I almost said Gagno right away, but maybe you're going to say Gagno?
That's right.
Oh, bro, Gagno would be throwing lefty and righty in the
lefty and right. It's so true, bro. That is so true. Does Bauer want to get back to the big leagues, or you think he's just happy doing what he's doing?
Of course he wants to play in the big leagues. He should play in the big leagues.
You don't want to?
I told him he's worth $50 million a year.
right now?
Who's the highest paid guy?
Oh, for sure, bro.
Would he be the best pitcher in the big leagues right now if he went back, you think?
I mean, he has the potential. I mean, luck has to happen too, but yeah. I don't know if he's better than Tarek Skubal right now.
Skubal, man. Unbelievable.
He's throwing 100. So, I mean, that's
silly.
But, like, if it comes to, like, knowing what he's doing every time out, probably Bauer. Like, I don't know if all these guys, like, know exactly what they're doing. They just out-stuffing guys. Like, they're just like, Chris Sells probably knows what he's doing.
Nasty. Yeah. Nasty. But I'm just wondering, Brooks, how many guys do? Because I'm just, like, thinking back. And, Javi, I don't know what you were like, man. But, like, I don't know. The game never slowed down for me to that point where I feel like it's like, yeah, you have a plan with hitters and yeah, you're reading the swings and stuff like that. But like, I don't know if it ever slowed down enough for me to really process it that slow and that, like having that heartbeat, like he's got like a resting heart rate out there on the mound, dude,
Right.
Like, I'm out there just like, just like battling through these innings. So I wonder, one, I wonder what the hell that feels like. And two, you know what I mean? Like I'm scanning the crowd half the time. I'm seeing what's out there. You know what I mean? Like
what kind of beer is this guy drinking in the first row?
That's what I mean. Like, wow, that looks good. I'm going to have 6 of those after, but like, I don't know if I ever like process the game like that. And he's obviously special, but I mean, it's so cool to see that. The people that are listening to this too, like obviously one, you got to check out Brooks's Instagram, but you also like if you got a chance to watch that, it's on YouTube, right? His vlogs. Yeah.
Shorts pretty much.
Dude, I want the unedited like clips of you in the dugout just like saying some absolutely crazy shit and then looking at the guy and being like, please don't put that out there.
We gotta get Toad. We gotta get Toad to send our mics, our remote mics.
I'll ask Kevin. I'll ask the guy that does it. I'll say, yo, you gotta send me some funny, absurd stuff I've said.
Brooks, after this, so this will obviously come out and be aired, but like once people get a listen to this and check out the Instagram, Javi, if we could get Brooks mic'd up for a game and then be able to get some snippets live, dude, you want to talk?
I'll have to do that in the Dominican this year.
We need that. Like that's the content we need.
Brooks, is that your next stop? And what I'm asking because I think giving some context to listeners, Brooks, you obviously got drafted by the Brewers, spent 10 years in affiliated ball, and now you've kind of made your way. You're kind of a well-traveled man. You played all over 5 countries, is it right?
Yeah.
Dominican, Venezuela, Mexico, the States, Australia,
and he's a legend everywhere.
Taiwan. So you're
Brooks Wong.
You just finished up your season in Mexico, right? You're gonna stick around in the Caribbean playing Dominican Winter League?
Yeah, I'll go back to the Dominican. The last 2 years we've won the championship there. So it's pretty electric there, to be honest. It's a lot of fun.
The parades, dude, look insane. Can we mic you up for a parade, dude? Let's mic you up for like a night out in the Dominican too.
I got you.
Hey, I want video though too, because it's not just you being mic'd up. It's like it's when you just break up. It's when you break out into when your hips are clear at the bar waiting for a drink, and you get the front hip open, and you get and then the chest comes through. We need that.
I got you.
Brooks, what is you? We just mentioned your travels, man. What is the country that you've played in that you feel most at home, and which is the country that you feel like people need to go experience baseball? And this is like baseball in its purest form, man. And I think Dominican, right? It's got to be
Dominican. It's not even a question. Like Mexican's great. Like the fans from Mexico City are outrageous. It was full. My adrenaline was pumping, like way more. But and then the Dominican, it's just so much. It's more passion because you'll have like an 80-year-old woman that knows the game that's watching. Like Ronnie Mauricio is my teammate. His mom, she's an older lady. She watches the game religiously. She knows exactly when you should bunt, exactly when it's first and third. Like no one in America knows that. Come on. They're
true.
Just like they're taking Instagram selfies. Like, oh, look at me. Aaron Judge is up to the plate. I don't know anything about it. Did he hit? He hit a home run. Like, what are we talking about? They don't know, you know? It's like, whatever. They're just there to spend money. But in the Dominican, it's like they know the game. So that's why, sick. I don't know, the crowd's always like up and down, and it's loud. Like 2 years ago, Barstool like Sports came there and did like a thing. Like there's a guy that his name's Wonton Don or something like that. That's what he goes by on. He's got a couple 100,000 followers. Barstool guy. He lives in China and he like does like sports in the other side, in the Middle East and stuff. And he came to the Dominican and did like a story on Dominican playoff baseball.
Wow.
Kind of sick.
It's sick, right?
I can see y'all doing that. We'll get you on the show with Cano.
Yes.
No problem.
Is Cano on your team or no?
He's not on my team. He's on that team we always beat in the championship.
Who's your team, Brooks? Who's your team?
Lycée.
Lycée.
Grace del Lycée.
Hey,
our team has
the Spanish is pretty good, Brooks.
Yeah, our team has not last year, the year before we had Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz on the team.
Wow.
That was pretty sick to play with, you know. That guy, Ellie De La Cruz, is the best baseball player I've ever seen.
Hey, we gotta send Brooks some gear, Javi, and in return we need some Dominican. We need it, dude.
So my plan is me and Seth on getting a house in the Dominican and training guys in the backyard.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's my goal. I'll probably not pitch in the beginning of the Dominican. I'll just go to the game, practice, and get built up for the playoffs. But yeah, that's my goal. I know I can get at least 15 guys that are Dominican in AA and AAA and try to help them.
That's sick.
Dude, we're breaking news, bro. That's the first time the players have put us.
I want to help them because I think they're understimulated in training.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by
they just do polls and they do towel drills, and it's like, buddy, this isn't the 1970s. You want to be a Luis Severino? Well, you're gonna have to train a little different. Yeah, and then you can become him because you already can pitch. You're already a top prospect. You just throw 93, 94. You need to sit 96.
Right.
And then you're a big leaguer and you're going to make a lot of money.
Brooks, when you go down to the Dominican, are you a starter or reliever? Like, what's your role down there? Starter? Always a starter? Yeah.
Always been.
Yeah.
And my nickname in the Dominican is Mental Hall. So
why?
They
what does that mean?
It's like the mints, like the
mental hall.
Menta. They would say that they have these some that are like they have like ice on them, and they would say I make the bats cold, so they would call me Mental Hall.
Wow,
that is so funny, dude.
You're a legend down there.
He is.
I mean, kind of, I guess. Yeah. Other people would say yeah, but I don't know.
Bro, have you ever see his Instagram, dude? When he shares somebody else's story or he gets tagged in a story on there. Dude, he was the whole time in the Dominican and wherever he goes and plays, like this guy, this is a celebrity here, boys. This is the Tom Brady of the Dominican and in Puerto Rico and Mexico, dude. This is the guy right here. This is why we need to get him up. He's gonna spread the Bullpen Mafia. We're gonna spread his story. We're gonna get him
the Bullpen Mafia, y'all are the only two guys I could think of that I'd be like, wow, this is gonna work. Like, no, I'm serious.
I appreciate that, bro.
You know that.
Yeah, I appreciate
I don't have
that.
to tell you that.
You always, dude. You have been a loyal fan from the very beginning. You were one of the first guys to and you shared some stuff, and we appreciate that. But this is gonna take us to the next level.
It's gonna be tough to find his address in Tulum, dude. Toad's not around. He's in Vegas right now, and Toad's our producer extraordinaire. But he runs our
the other guy that you have on your page.
Yeah, the other guy.
He looks like the guy who works for Jake Paul.
I don't know who that is, but
I'm Holland, dude. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Or Logan Paul. Logan Paul. Sorry, not Jake.
Logan Paul, is he the one with the primes? He does.
He's the blonde one. The guy that got
with
caught
the curly hair.
Yeah, he got caught in the jungle in Japan that one time.
I don't even know about that, dude.
No, I don't know about that either.
All I know is he does the primes.
Yeah, he's got the prime. They're terrible for you.
Who's that? KSI?
Yeah, some guy.
Hey, but speaking of drinks and stuff, what are you sipping on over there, dude? I keep on seeing that little thing. Is that sake or what?
No, that's mezcal.
What?
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, some guy gave me a nice bottle.
Right?
Is that what that is? Is that what?
Smoky,
it's like this little half small coconut, and I'm drinking out of that.
I mean, if that's tequila, dude, I've literally seen you rip 12 shots. Is that what that is, dude?
Yeah, it's just small though, just sipping.
Just small, dude. Yeah, it's small until you're 12 in, dude.
Petey, he's in Tulum, dude. They don't count over there, bro. They don't count.
The Instagram this morning was killing me too, because you're on the beach, you get the laptop set up. I don't know if I saw a Modelo or I saw something. It looked like the bar was to the left. You're just living the dream, dude. Next thing you know, you're in the
room. We're working. I was working, dude. I've probably been on 7 FaceTimes a day.
With kids?
5 phone calls. Yeah.
Yeah, Brooks,
Okay.
let's talk about that. What exactly is Soul Throwers? Like, tell listeners what exactly you guys do, what age you guys get kids. Like, just run us through the whole thing.
So in reality, like we help kids as much as we can. So the biggest thing I tell them is like, there is no perfect program. Like, I don't know anything about you. You just inquired and you want help. It's like, well, I got to figure out who you are. Like, how tall are you? Whatever, blah, 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 all that crap. But like, what do you do off the field? What is your mindset like?
Right.
Like, try to ask them what they're scared of. Like, I need to know everything about you if you want to get help in baseball. It's not just looking at your mechanics. I could care less about those. I'm like, I want to see like, and then we try to see how they move. We're basically trying to problem solve. It's like, if I'm working with Petey and I don't know him, it's like, okay, you just showed me your video that you're a left-handed thrower throwing a ball to the catcher. That's cool. That's all I see. I'm not looking at like where your foot is and all that because I don't even know how you can move. So
right.
I might tell you something, but I don't know if you're even capable of doing that. So I'm wasting your time mechanically analyzing you. You know, like, it's a waste of time. So I'm just looking at, we try to figure out exactly where you're at. Like in your life, we test you through 4 different assessments and then we go from there. And then from there, it's just, I don't know. We're experimenting. No one has the answers. If you had the answers, you could be a trillionaire. No one would go anywhere else. They would just be like, I'm calling Steven Peterson. He's going to help me. Well, it's going to be $100,000 for an hour. You know, an hour is $100,000. You know, but that's,
take it or leave it.
But it's like we both had the experience. I mean, Seth throwing over 100 miles an hour. I've never. But when it comes to like
can't relate, bro. Can't relate
either. Not yet. But it's like we're just always learning, and I know that I've been through enough in my career, more than anyone I know, that I can help anyone. Like no matter if you are in the wheelchair or you're in the big leagues, I can probably help you.
Brooks, that's interesting you said, maybe, because I think a lot of, coaching, quote unquote, that happens with pitchers is so much focused on mechanical and results-based stuff that happens around the plate, right? And more often than not, what the success determining factor happens like over the mound, man. It's like between the ears. Like there's so much more that happens before you even go and warm up. Some of the things you've already touched on, like we've gotten so used to, hey, let's just worry about the results. And in the grand scheme of it, man, like once that ball leaves your hand, like forget about everything that happens, right?
No,
so,
you
like,
can't do anything about it.
So what's your first step with kids? And I think I ask because I think it's important to know, like there are coaches out there that care beyond, you know what I mean? Like you just have to find the right person.
The first step is I need to know how you're thinking on the mound. If you're not like we asked kids, we said, do you have fun playing catch? And I'll be honest, 75% of them are like, no, I get stressed out. I'm like, well, there's your first problem. Yep. I said, no matter what your training is, no matter if you throw 95, no matter what your delivery looks like, if you don't have fun throwing a baseball, then I'm like, there's your problem. Like, what can we do to make you have fun? Like, what are you worried about? And then they'll tell you, I'm worried about the coach's feelings or my friends talking about me because I threw the ball away in catch play. I'm like, wow. Like you start to dive into that side of their brain and you're like, well, there's your problem. It's not your program. You can do any program, I think. It's like me helping you think about like your life and why you're worried about these results. Like that I felt like that when I was a kid too. I mean, I was 18 and got drafted. I didn't know what I was doing. They just gave me this money and said, go get them, buddy. And I was like, wow, I'm not that good, but
go get him, Roy Halladay.
Yeah. And it's like you have to learn how to be like comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's more important to me than the mechanics. Yeah. And kids don't see that. They just see shiny objects on Instagram, water bag drills. Oh, I'm going to be Paul Skeens. Let me just rip my water bag,
Hey, those are the best. That was the best Instagram of all time. What was your response to that? Didn't some kid write like, hey, you think I should start ripping the water bag like Skeens?
Bro,
and you lit them up, dude.
I had 10 kids DM me or maybe more being like, wow, I really love water bags. And I said, do you not understand that sarcasm?
Right.
Read the title again, please. And they're like, wow. I'm like, we have a couple big league friends that are using water bags, and they're wondering why they're throwing their face to the target. They're going,
right.
Oh. Yeah. I said, because all you're doing is going.
Right.
I was like, who throws like that? I said, watch anyone that throws 100. Does their face go forward, or do they throw like this? Like Yordan Ventura threw the ball like this. Whoop. And then he went forward. Yeah. He never threw the ball like this.
Right.
He threw like that and then went forward. But I mean, that's just, I don't know, shit you learn. But I don't know. Whoever made water bags, smart guy because he's rich. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Sometimes. It's like that's true.
Right. Hey, just real quick too, just going like when you bury it, the questions, dude, like some of the questions you get must be outrageous. Do you post every single question you get?
No, not everyone.
Okay. So most of them you put on there. What I love is when somebody says like there was a kid today that asked about like how to get his back knee down or something like that, and you just hit him straight up with why are you even talking like that? Why do you think like that?
He's like, how do I get my back knee lower? And I'm like, why is that even a thought?
Right. So like you must get a ton of those, like 5 or 6 of those a day.
But like I know why that's a thought, because they're on Instagram rolling through reels and they're like, oh yeah, this guy throws hard, his back knee's on the ground. And it's like, that's cool. I'm like, well, okay, I wish we could ask Tom Seaver, why did he do that? He would probably be like, well, that's just how I throw.
Right.
It feels good. Like, I don't know. Like, there's that's his anatomy. Why are you trying to throw like him?
Right. It's like baseball and the golf swing, man, are like the two sports where it's an imperfect science, right? Like everybody's got their own spin on it. And Petey, I know we talked about this, man. We have a good buddy of ours that's head of pitching with the Cubs, and he's like, I don't like ever teaching little kids mechanics. It's like, tell them to hit a target. However they get the ball to that target, that's their arm angle, that's their arm slot. Like that's how they throw a baseball. Like just keep repeating that until they get to me. Yeah. And it's like, I think it's so cool what you guys are doing, Brooks, because like, you know, Pete and I and Toad, we talk about this a lot. I think there's a big void in coaching. There's people in it to get rich, and there's people in it to make imprints on kids. I know you talked about trying to make you Roy Halladay their first, and that's impressionable, man. You're trying to make an impression. You're a young kid in a new organization.
Well, you're just going to
tell you, right? You got to listen.
They gave you all this money. You're like, well, they must have the answers. I'm a cool kid. They're Milwaukee Brewers. They're smarter than me.
Yeah,
they're not.
Yeah.
They're not smart.
Brooks, like Javi was saying though, man, like it's a breath of fresh air to have you out there, keeping it real. You know, everybody who's listening, you got to check them out. bhall_05.
I mean,
the real deal, man. Like
the soul throwers, bro. You got to let's get some of our pictures
on the internet. You know, my nephew was like showing me TikTok. He's like, you should be talking about pitching. I'm like, I hate the internet. I don't even want Instagram.
Look at you now.
And I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna go all in and try.
Yeah.
Like, why not? You know, why not? It's the internet. Like, I know the world because, listen, I sold life insurance for 3 years, and let me tell you something. If you can't create your own leads on the internet, you're going to be poor.
Yeah.
So you better learn how to run ads, learn how to sell, and like I think that helps me in the baseball world. Getting kids on the phone and explaining like how we can help them.
Yeah.
And I advise not to sell life insurance, but if you have to, it's okay. You know, it can pay your bills and it can make you eat, so it's fine.
So we had you on for 30 minutes, Brooks. What is we're gonna get you out on this, man. What is you think the one thing that you wish you had learned at 18 that you knew at 34 now? You're 14 years into this.
I mean, nothing. I think my life's fine. Like, I feel like I like my life, you know. I'm content with it. So
I love it.
I mean, I wish I'd have been in the big leagues and made $60 million, but guess what? It hasn't worked out. So maybe I will at 36. I don't know, or 35 next year. I don't know, but I'm going to try. And the only reason I'm going to try is because of him. So he's the one that tells me I should be in the big leagues, and I can. So I need to believe that, but that'll be a good story if it happens,
baby.
Love it.
The Mafia's got to get down to Lycée this offseason, Petey.
Hey, if you want to come to Lycée, I can promise you I'll set it up.
We got to go. And Brooks is going to have a house there next offseason. Like, dude, Mafia's going to have some roots in Lycée for sure.
I haven't seen Brooks in a long time. I'd be nervous. You see how many tequila shots he's taking tonight, dude? Imagine what he's like in the Dominican after a dub, dude. Golly, man.
Down there, you drink Presidente.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh man,
I'd be fine with the beers, dude. Tequila, good night. You know.
Hey, we've had a lot of people come through the Mafia already, man. We've been doing this for a couple months, but this has definitely been the most fun we've had doing an interview,
for sure.
And the most insightful interview because Brooks always keeps it real, man. If there's one thing about Brooks, going to shoot you straight. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks, man, and what he's doing is a really good thing. So check him out, bhall_05. Check out the Soul Throwers, Brooks and Seth, man, doing God's work, man. Trying to be
keeping it real,
keeping it real for everyone who needs it.
My dad taught me to keep it real because he keeps it way more real than me. I'm just like him, kind of.
I love it.
Brooks, man, we appreciate you coming on, bro.
No, I appreciate having me. Thank you.